Hi, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. It's your special day, so in honor of that, I'm going to ask the cats to give you a tour of the neighborhood, since you're probably not getting out as much as you would like to. Hi, Coraline. Are you ready to show my mom a tour of the neighborhood? Yes, that looks exactly like what she's pondering. Or maybe she needs to keep her spur soft by licking her chest and guard that big pile of clothing behind her. But hello, Bistro. As you can see, she's just raring to get going on becoming a documentary filmmaker. You ready to fulfill your lifelong dream, kitty? She's wandering away. I guess I'll just have to do the tour myself. So this is our backyard. As you can see, it's full of foliage. We've got like an insane amount of bamboo back here, which is good for the roving pandas that occasionally drop by. These are all fruit trees. Right now there's no fruit in them, but as you can see, there was a bumper crop of bicycles. None of these are ours. They belong to our lovely and occasionally annoying, well, frequently annoying neighbors. But they do yard work, which is great. That's their deck. This is our little altar over here, and you can see me in the reflection. Hi, me, mirror me. Yeah, so there's tons of beautiful stuff. Through the trees you can see the laneway house, which was single-handedly built by the former landlord, who was a Buddhist. There used to be a little walking meditation path around this tree. I think there might be one stone marker left from where it used to be, but the rest of them have been dug up. Let's take you to the front of the house so you can see what it looks like in all its glory. As you can see, there's still a continuation of the theme of lots of foliage, which we love. There's some very giggly people walking past. Glad people are in a good mood. I hope you are too. And backing up, hopefully you can hear me over the traffic. It's going to be pretty loud, but if not, you can see what our house looks like. Before it was just the part below the peaked bit there. The peaked bit actually had a shrine room in it where we were supposed to get invited to go up and meditate, but they never actually followed through on that. But now it's probably just a den of debauchery, because that's how our neighbors roll. So this is our home. This was recently put in. It's actually not that bad looking a building. It's got a lot of suites in it, and I don't think I know anyone who could afford any of them. Actually, that's not true. This is the only fast food restaurant, unless you count like Vietnamese sandwich restaurants around here. As you can see, it's very popular. People love their fried chicken. They're willing to line up for hours for it. So, yep, churches represent. Yeah, this is Kingsway, a noble and regal street, if ever there was one. I think it's Canada's and maybe North America's, probably not North America's, but one of the last remaining true motels around. And of course they have their world famous sign. You can see it in the distance there, the 2400 Court. Yeah, so nice to live near a historic landmark like that. Just wanted to show you that sign in a little more detail. I love neon. It shows up better in the dark, of course. It was a really bright, blue-skied, sunny day. It's gotten kind of cloudy, but I don't have much time to film this, so I'm gonna work with what we've got. And that's the only thing we can do in life, right? There actually are a number of beautiful old houses in the neighborhood. This is a smaller example of one of them. I just like it because you get to hear funky drum beats as I film. And as you can see here, the trees are incredibly lush and green and full right now, which is something I really love about spring. It's when all those skeletons kind of sprout bodies again. It's a weird metaphor, but I'm gonna just roll with it. This glorious building is 2-3 doors down from our house. It's basically next door. This is our neighbor, John Norquay School, Norquay, Norquay. I don't know how to pronounce that street that we live near. But as you can see, it's a amazing old building. It reminds me a lot of the school that I went to in Kelowna, and it extends way far behind it because they've added a whole bunch of additions, but this is the original part of the school, which I believe was built in 1923, something like that. But yeah, it's great to have an old building like this next to us. Wonder if it's earthquake proof. Oh look, a bench. But not just any bench, it's a very special bench. I absolutely had to film this because we all need some peace, love, and kindness in bright primary colors. And probably painted by children. Either that or very talented adults. Truth, respect, listening, learning. Yeah, okay, I'm down with all of those. Sure, let's go with it. Here you see the playground that Sam and I used to like to visit occasionally at night. We love climbing this thing because of the reckless thrill seekers we are. It's actually pretty soft at the bottom. The things behind it, there's actually this really bouncy, spongy surface. So since children are already partially elastic, they just bounce right back up if they fall off those monkey bars. But it's a pretty sweet playground. It's you can have a nice romantic boat ride in that whatever you would call that, swing? Swing? Is that a word? Yes, that swing right there. So good place for swingers. Yeah, bright and cheerful. Fish are a recurring theme throughout the neighborhood. I'll explain why. So if you look closely, you might notice that there's caution tape all around the playground and that there are no children in it. I believe this has something to do with perhaps I think another child, one child ate another child in a horribly grisly incident. So it's cordoned off as the police investigate. At least that's my assumption. There's actually some blue in the sky, so it's getting really warm actually. I think this weekend we're supposed to get up to 30 degrees if you factor in the humidity. But other than showing you the beautiful weather, here's a message that I lovingly crafted in chalk on someone else's driveway. No, I did not do this, but somebody did, and I'm glad they did. And yeah, that's just too perfect to miss an opportunity to film. This is our neighborhood park. It's primarily fenced off. They've been upgrading both the bottom and the top field for, I believe it's been 2-3 centuries. But prior to that, I would come meditate or do yoga in a nice sunlit shady spot, and that was very pleasant. This is the pathway that Sam and I use to get to our primary means of transportation other than our feet, which is the SkyTrain. As you can see, still fenced off. Grass is looking like it's coming back in. They actually made it worse before they made it better. So hopefully at one point they'll release those areas for public consumption. But at the moment, yeah, no, you can't go in there. You can't use the playground that's on the other side. Tennis courts might still be open. No, they look like they're locked down too. It's pretty easy to socially distance while playing tennis, so that doesn't really make any sense. But you know, nothing in life makes sense all the time. These lampposts are pretty cool. At night, the lights will shine through them and you'll get crazy patterns on the ground. You can, if I get close enough, you can probably see squiggles, and there's a bird that's kind of in the shadows, some leaves, some twirly bits. So, oh, I think there's like, is that a mosquito? Oh, those are probably dragonflies. And then this is the totem pole that welcomes you to the SkyTrain, because you cannot take a giant Thunderbird to work. This is just a barricade to keep you from falling into the SkyTrain tracks. The turtle and the seagull don't make a lot of sense, and whatever that thing is, more turtles. See, the fish make a lot more sense, because the area that I'm walking on, and I tried to find a street that actually showed the direct path, because there is one around here, but I couldn't find it, is all built up over top of a waterway. Got some more fish, and they just keep coming. More fish, more seagulls. I think I've occasionally seen a seagull in the park. They kind of like have turf wars with the crows. But yeah, it's good that they're using children for manual labor to do stuff like this along a highway. It's not exactly a highway, but it's a fairly busy road where they're getting lots of exhaust fumes to keep their lungs healthy. And oh my god, what is that? This is the 4th community garden I've passed while making this award-winning film, and I think that's great. It looks like there are a lot of unoccupied lots, but maybe people are afraid of dirt right now. That's why they're washing their hands so much, so that could explain the absence of gardeners and all the hand washing. Okay, so I've saved the best for last. I did mention that the area we live in is all grown? No, concrete doesn't grow itself. Built up over what was once a waterway, and fish, of course, used to spawn down it. And this is the area that we've started to reclaim for nature, and it's actually really pretty. It goes on for quite a while too, though you do have to wind down some alleys if you want to see all of it, which is disconcerting. But yeah, we got some trees and stuff, and ferns maybe? No, I'm not a botanist. I can't identify any of that stuff. That might be a maple tree, I'm not sure. But and tweeting birds. Who doesn't love tweeting birds? We're now approaching what appears to be some kind of archaeological site, perhaps a very small megalithic structure. What is that? Must be, I blame aliens. No, this is actually a stone labyrinth. So I've walked around this many times, and labyrinths are a beautiful metaphor for life and very meditative to walk around. Unless, of course, you get gored by a minotaur, which kind of harshes your vibe. There's a number of artificial stumps around the path, the main path around the ravine, and they're all written by children, which is why this poem is so bad, but I will try to give it a dramatic reading. Renfrew, ravine, Renfrew, ravine. What color are your beautiful leaves? Are they purple? Are they yellow? Are they blue or green? My leaves are green, but don't be so mean. And the audience erupts in applause. Whenever I come here, I think about that time in Kelowna where we went and saw the man they called Ravine as opposed to the place they call Ravine. And I listen to a lot of self-hypnosis tapes, and I find them relaxing, but you know, I want to go into like a deep trance where, you know, I'm made to bark like a chicken or waddle my tail feathers like an onion, you know, something like that. But yeah, I mean, they're helpful. It's definitely worse things you can do with your time. Just showing you a little bit more of what this looks like. I picked this particular spot because the ravine is actually pretty dark, and this area is nicely lit, and it's the golden hour, so I thought I'd take advantage of lighting. Of course, you're golden too. Now we're going to descend to the boardwalk. I'm trying to keep the camera as steady as possible. Could stabilize it in the post, but then you wouldn't get it until next Mother's Day, because video processing takes a really long time. So sorry about the shaky Blair Witch stuff, but the steps are challenging. Hopefully the microphone can pick up that water running in the background. That's one of my favorite sounds. And you've got a lot more water around you, but I'll take the water I can get. Especially since I can't go to the pool right now, which, oh lordy, could I ever use a swim. And there's people approaching, so I will be silent for a moment until they pass, so they don't think I'm insane. And they probably don't want to be on your personal Mother's Day video. But yeah, it's going to be a bit shaky. Hopefully you took some gravel beforehand. But oh, look at that. There's water. Water. The earth still moves. It's still hydrated. We have some things to be thankful for. Like you. Alright. So, fortunately, the boardwalk is not very long. No, that bench isn't that interesting. Let's look up at some of those trees. Vast canopy of trees. More exciting than any video game. Sam would be here with me, but she's feeling pretty down today. And so she's playing video games instead, which, you know, I'm terrible at, but I love watching her play them. I recently discovered that there's a community center well within walking distance of where I live, and they even have a pool. It doesn't look like that bad a pool, and it's situated on this whole other section of ravine that I didn't even know existed. It's a little more manicured than the area I was showing you before, but if you need to go for a long walk, it's nice to have additional ravine to do it with. You can see a bit of sun setting through those trees. It's actually really dark in here, so this is probably just gonna look super muddy, but it's a good cue for me to try to finish up. There's another fish in the same style that is just way too shadowy and dark to show up, but this fellow here is created entirely out of wood and vines and natural material, and it's a portrait of a man. If I go look at the plaque, I can find out his name. Let me try to guess at a name. Bob Moss. That would work. Let's see. These living sculptures about the cycle of life, death, and regeneration are made with oyster mushroom mycelium to bind and eat plant materials from and around Renfrew ravine and textiles dyed with mushrooms. The human is sealed with beeswax. Over the time, the mycelium will produce mushrooms, decay the wood, build soil, and cycle nutrients into the ecosystem. Okay, so Ted Tweedy was the name of the fellow, and he lived in the ravine for 105 years. Wait, no, that's not right. He was 105 when they created this sculpture of him. So that's pretty cool. I don't know, it doesn't say how long he actually lived in the ravine, but apparently he's legendary. So now you know, a local legend. So that legend's pretty cool. I also like the fact that he's not just made out of wood, he's made out of mushrooms, which I had totally forgotten about. Fungi are our friends, unless you eat the poisonous ones, in which case they're your enemy. But that's the end of the video. I'm gonna leave it here. I'm glad that I am not made out of wood, It's debatable whether I have yet to become a real boy, but I wanted to thank you for everything you've done, for all the people you've connected to each other, for all the people you've inspired, for all the acts of generosity and kindness that you've shown in the world, for continuing to learn and question and grow. And I'm so glad that you're here for this Mother's Day. And I know if Sam was here, she would also share that sentiment. And yeah, just thanks so much for making sure that I live in a beautiful home, have you available to chat with whenever I need to, and that I don't have to live in a ravine for 105 years. Thanks, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.